You're listening to Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Welcome back to Midweek Politics. Please check out our website, midweekpolitics.com, and make sure you're getting the Midweek Politics newsletter. A few new stations airing the show this week: WMCB in Greenfield, Massachusetts, as well as WERU in Blue Hill and Bangor, Maine. And we're also on the Omni Media Radio Network, thrilled to be on the TV side, GCTV in Greenfield, Massachusetts, as well as Frontier Community Access, which reaches a bunch of towns in the Deerfield area of Massachusetts, and Manchester, New Hampshire, Manchester Community Access Media, airing Midweek Politics on TV. Already received a bunch of great comments from some audience members there. A couple of stations not taking to our show. I got an email back. We get on our mailing list, Lewis, sometimes a couple Christian radio stations will get on, and I don't really think any of them will want to air the show, but I did hear back from one saying that we are too liberal. And I actually got an email from a Christian radio station saying, David, I'm sorry, but our station is a Christian station and will not air what we don't believe. Thanks. I actually asked, can you tell me specifically what about what we say you don't believe? I would assume the last interview has something to do with it. Didn't get any kind of response, though, sadly. Okay. You're not surprised?
No. Well, we've had stations say similar things before.
The Eric Massa scandal. Eric Massa was a Democratic congressman from New York. He first claimed to be sick and resigned. And then it was actually that he wasn't sick, but the ethics investigation going on surrounding his groping of a staff member. Then the hijinks begin. First with him flipping out about Rahm Emanuel and a naked confrontation in the shower. Let me play his explanation of that from his radio address for you. And I warn you, it is very, very weird.
They don't have any shower curtains down in the gym. And I'm sitting there showering, naked as a jaybird, and here comes Rahm Emanuel, not even with a towel wrapped around his tush, poking his finger in my chest, yelling at me because I wasn't going to vote for the president's budget. Do you know how awkward it is to have a political argument with a naked man? Rahm Emanuel is son of the devil spawn. He is an individual who would sell his mother to get a vote. He would strap his children to a front end of a steam locomotive.
Okay, so then the situation continues to get more and more interesting. We have the situation where Eric Massa, turns out he groped a fellow staffer. And here's what he had to say about that to Larry King.
You said, quote, not only did I grope him, I tickled him till he couldn't breathe, and then 4 guys jumped on top of me. So you did grope someone, right?
So, Larry, when you grab someone and you're wrestling, I don't know how to describe that word. So if that's the word that you want to have an entire debate about, then I can't stop.
No, I'm just asking the question. You said you groped. So
yeah,
a lot of people associate groping with sexual.
Well, it wasn't sexual, period.
Okay. Have you ever had, or simply put, we can put this away. Have you ever had an inappropriate sexual contact with anybody on your staff, male or female?
No.
Okay. Larry King, by the way, quite the interrogator. Have you ever been to a Broadway musical? He's really doing a is Eric Massa gay investigation, which eventually leads us to the obvious question, are you gay?
And we're back with former Congressman Eric Massa. Maybe silly, but I guess we have to ask it. Are you gay?
Well, here's that answer. I'm not going to answer that. In year 2010, why don't you ask my wife? Ask my friends. Ask the 10,000 sailors I served with in the Navy.
No,
I'm not going to answer that. That is.
You don't have to. I said.
Well, but it's an insulting.
This ain't
Larry,
I didn't mean it to insult you.
No, not me. It insults every gay American because somehow. Yes, it does. It somehow classifies people. Why would anybody even ask that question in this day and age?
You said you groped someone.
Well, and here you go back to that.
Who was a male.
And Larry, and I explained what that was 3 times. Okay. Come on now. And by the way, you also said you understood that explanation.
I do. I understand it.
Okay.
You already told me that you understood that, and you're bringing it up again. Why would anybody ask that? It's incredible. I think it's completely obvious why someone would ask that. He's having tickle fights and groping staffers.
Let me be clear. I am not gay. I never have been gay.
Of course, Larry Craig. First of all, have you ever heard of anyone who isn't gay refusing to answer whether they're gay? I haven't.
No. Can't say
Secondly,
I have.
Have you ever heard of anyone in the refusal to an answer about being gay reference massages they give men, namely the Massa massages, and say that you are known for giving massages to male staffers, and including in that explanation, why don't you ask the 10,000 sailors that I served with? For some reason, if I didn't want to answer whether I was gay or not, I wouldn't include in that explanation 10,000 sailors, number one, and I also wouldn't include Massa massages. And you know what? Obviously, Lewis, there would be no problem if he just admitted that he was gay. It would be refreshing, but to say that, ask my wife, if you're gay and you're married to a woman, the last person you're going to tell is your wife, right? I mean, again, we saw that with Larry Craig.
Let me be clear. I am not gay. I never have been gay.
Apparently, he was also caught masturbating in the Congress showers. That's something I got in the email today.
Whoa.
A little pun. I thought you'd like that.
That's pretty good.
So this is really pretty funny. He's a character. He went on the Glenn Beck show. He spent a whole hour up with Glenn Beck. The interview didn't go well. After the interview, Glenn Beck actually said, "I've wasted an hour of my audience's time," which, by the way, seems to be every Glenn Beck show is wasting an hour of his audience's time. But regardless, what a weird story. Really a bizarre story. And I'm curious to see what else happens with Eric Massa. I don't really know what will take place. A couple things with Glenn Beck. He is now obsessing over the census and the fact that the census, which I filled out a couple days ago already, asks your race. And he says it's all about slavery.
The thing that kills me is, why were they asking the race question? You said, what, in 1790?
Yeah, 1790.
If they were taking a census and they were asking the race question, why do you think they were doing that?
Slavery related, I would assume.
Right. They want to know, do you count as 3/5? Do you count it all?
Yeah.
You know what it is. So you have to know how many people, how many slaves did you have? Okay. People find that offensive today because the idea was, if we're going to count, we want to know how many people are here for what services, et cetera, and slaves would get less. Well, that's not right. One. I'm not 3/5, I'm 1.
Okay, and then he even went on to say the government is trying to increase slavery, and that is just, it's really pretty funny. Okay, J.D. Hayworth compared gay marriage to bestiality, which, you know, you would think that we're done with that explanation. Man-on-dog relationships. Rick Santorum said that. Well, former Congressman J.D. Hayworth is taking it a step further. By the way, he was just mislabeled Arizona Congresswoman by Fox News. He is saying gay marriage will open up the door to bestiality. At face value, anyone with an ounce of intelligence and common sense realizes that the bestiality argument is silly. It's more than that. Even if you could argue that the laws really leave open the possibility of marrying an animal, animals can't sign contracts. It doesn't matter if you could argue legally that someone could marry a horse. You cannot marry a horse because the horse can't sign a contract. That's just the bottom line. Midweek Politics is brought to you in part by Jackson & Connor, classically modern men's apparel in Northampton, Massachusetts on the second floor of Thorne's Marketplace, and by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.